Hi, and welcome to Scott Bush from the Park Bench. I'm your guest host, Shenna, because Scott is out on vacation. But don't worry, you all are in great hands because I have a very special guest for you today. Please welcome Scott Bush.
Hello, Shenna.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm actually on vacation this week, so that's why I'm still wearing shorts. So
Love it.
Yeah, it's pretty hot outside. It's July 24th.
Yes.
And it's pretty hot in the park today. But the main reason I'm here is because Shenna's original guest was Aaron Pierre, the movie star, and he couldn't show up at the last minute, so they called me at home. So I decided to come in and be Shenna's guest.
Yes, thank you. You're a great stand-in for him.
I know. I maybe not quite as good looking as Aaron Pierre. Maybe we're close, but I get it.
Okay. Well, you're in the hot seat now.
I am.
And we're going to jump right in. So Scott and I, sometimes we joke that he started GMAR the year that I was born. So I'm aging both of us. But you've been with GMAR for 40 years. Can you tell us about some of the changes that you've seen during that time?
In 40 years, since 1985, let's talk about some of the obvious changes are technology, of course.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started working for GMAR, I had a telephone that you had to pick up and crank it like this, like on the, and then you had to get the operator. I think her name was Mabel. And said, "Hello, Mabel. I'd like to speak to Wauwatosa Realty." I'm kidding, of course, obviously, but I had really when I first started here, I had a stack of legal pads and a landline phone, and I didn't have a computer. I didn't have an iPhone. But things still got done. So obviously technology has really changed the business and moved the business, and certainly knowing our audience, I don't need to go into all those changes. But I think what's more important, the technology has enhanced our business, and I remember when we were putting our data online, there was a lot of opposition to that too, because we used to have the MLS, the sold books and the comparable books. And we really held on to those things, and we didn't want to provide information to the public that we thought the business was going to collapse or no one would need realtors anymore. And it turned out to be the complete opposite. So I'm going to stay in that vein for a second there, because in 40 years I have seen this business gloom and doom so many times, most recently with the lawsuit from NAR. And I think we've got through that. I don't want to say just fine. There were certainly a lot of concessions, but once we got through sort of the media misinformation, the realtors I talk to now who are successful in this business are not having any problems with it. It's business as usual. I was at a conference, I recall about 25 years ago, and the CEOs of a lot of the major large companies said, "Well, realtor associations, get your resumes together because you're not going to be around in another year or two." And so again, there's always challenges, but what keeps everything together is the value that realtors provide.
Absolutely.
It is buyers and sellers want the services of realtors. They want someone who knows the business. They want someone who can negotiate. They want someone who has a list of services and resources. And I'm preaching to the choir on this. You could probably answer that question better than I can. But all these challenges, that's when I talk about the changes to our business. All these challenges, they come and they go, and realtors still prevail because of the value that they provide in our business.
Absolutely. Great. So with seeing those changes that have happened over the many years, are there any changes that you would still want to see in the business?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of changes I'd like to see. Let's start with the easy stuff.
Okay.
In every business you have your bad apples, right? In the legal profession, you have bad attorneys. I'm sure someone graduated at the bottom of their class in medical school, and you have bad pizza makers and everything else. Right. Well, in the real estate business, we certainly, from time to time, we have people that really don't belong in this business. And if they don't belong in this business, we've oftentimes got them out of our business. We don't want them in our business. So The real estate industry has a stereotype and a stigma, and it's been there for years. And that is, oh, they're right there with the used car salesman. I just cringe when I hear that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
And that's because it's such a high profile business. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked someone off the ledge on the telephone when someone from the public calls the Realtor Association, because I've been involved in professional standards for 40 years. They call and I say, I'll never work with a realtor again. I'll never do it again. And I really try to talk them off that ledge. And, there's I'll join in the broker of the conversation. I'll help repair the relationship. And maybe, they need to work with another realtor, but oftentimes that's when people have a bad experience, that's what they will do.
Yeah.
So what I would like to change is I would like to encourage realtors that it's hard enough.
Yeah.
Don't make it any harder on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm talking about the little things that just happen on a daily basis. I can't tell you how many times I get calls from sellers and from listing brokers saying, they tracked mud and dirt all throughout the property. They left the lights on. They didn't follow any of the showing instructions. They left the doors unlocked. Someone gave out a lockbox code, or someone gave out and let the buyers in. These are, this business is hard enough. It's hard enough to get a license. There's a lot of very complicated and complex issues in real estate. People, don't, the easy stuff.
Yeah.
Don't blow that. Start there with the basics. But, that would be my advice. If I could change something, and maybe, I know maybe a lot of people don't want to hear this, but maybe it's just a little too easy to get a real estate license.
I agree.
You agree? A lot of people agree with that.
I agree. I do agree.
And I would say this too, that for those of you, it's a tough business. Look at the people who are successful in this business and what they provide. On this show, on Scott Bush from the Park Bench, I like to have successful people in our business come on and share some of their tips with us, because this business is all about learning. And the other thing I would encourage too is that don't, and this is so important, you have to keep up on what's going on in this business. Yeah. This business changes fast, it changes all rapidly, and the code of ethics also requires you to keep up on what's going on in the business. And otherwise you're going to be left behind. So, the Wisconsin Realtors Association, through their Governmental Affairs Division, GMAR's Governmental Affairs Division, Professional Standards, Legal Departments, NAR, they provide a wealth of information all the time. So make sure that you save some time, read through your code of ethics. It's a contract of conduct that you subscribe to when you join the Realtors Association. It's a contract of conduct. It's very educational. But keep up on what's going on in the business, because if you don't, you could be left behind. And your customers, your clients depend on that. They depend on you to know what's going on in the business. I sometimes, so many times a member will call and say, well, I didn't know about this, I didn't know about that. They've unsubscribed to our emails. They've unsubscribed 6 months ago or something like that. So
definitely read the emails. I always say it's easy to become a realtor. It's harder to stay one.
Thank you. You didn't need me here today. You could have just said that, right?
It takes a lot, and all of that continuing education is definitely something that we should be keeping up.
Yeah. So keep up what's going on in the business, and pay attention to the small stuff and details, because those accumulate, those add up, those irritate the public, and then they tell a friend, and I'd never work with a realtor again, and I can't tell you the probably, I don't know what would my estimate be, hundreds at least times I've had to talk citizens off the ledge that were dissatisfied and saying I'll never work with a realtor again. Realtors provide an incredibly valuable service. When I buy and sell properties, I always use a realtor. Sometimes it's funny because someone will say, "Well, Scott, how, we have 4,500 members. How would you pick one? How would you favor one over the other?" I said, it'd be a lot worse if I didn't use a realtor. If Scott Bush was a FSBO, I had the for sale by owner sign on one of my properties. That would be, I think that'd be worse.
Yes. Well, thank you for all that you do for GMAR.
I appreciate it. It's a pleasure. It's been 40 years now. In 2025, I'm working part-time.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit of an adjustment. I
Mhm.
kind of had force myself a little bit, and but I've had an incredible career, and mostly all the wonderful people I've met, and all the great friends, such as
Mhm.
people like you and so many others, and it's been incredibly satisfying, and I truly love and respect this business. Thank you, Shenna.
Thank you. We can tell that you do. We are going to let you get back to your vacation. It's well deserved.
It's too hot to do yard work, so I might just go back to the office where it's air
Oh,
conditioned.
gosh. Well, whatever you decide to do, I hope
Thank
it's
you.
relaxing and enjoyable. Thank you all for joining us on Scott Bush from the Park Bench.